Hi. So we're going to talk about length today, in about measuring length and converting measurements of length for math today. So I'm on page 157. I'm going to screen share my book for you. All right. So one of the really key things that doing conversions, doing measurement conversions, what makes them a lot easier are these little blue boxes. Anytime you see one of these blue boxes, it's really important to refer back to that blue box with every problem that you do. So all of the problems that we're going to do on 157 all the way to 159, we're going to use the blue box. The problems that we do on 160 all the way to 163, we're going to use the blue box. Okay. So the blue boxes are really important. Don't just ignore them. So we're going to look at metric measurement. This blue box is telling us that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. Also, 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So a meter is about the length of a yardstick. And a kilometer is about a mile. So a mile and a meter are very similar to each other. So it says, which unit would you use to measure these lengths? The distance between your home and school. Well, I think you would probably use a kilometer because that's really close to being a mile. And so you would use a kilometer because this unit is used to measure long distances, like those between cities or places within a city. A kilometer is a little longer than half a mile. Okay. So we would not want to be measuring the distance to my house. We wouldn't want to be on Freedom Boulevard with a meter stick trying to measure. Instead, we would use kilometers. The height of a tree, you would probably use meters. This unit is used to measure heights and lengths of buildings, trees, and other large objects. A meter is a little longer than a yard. Your height, you would use centimeters because centimeters are short distances, a little longer than half an inch. And because you guys are kind of short, it would be easier for you to use that shorter measurement. To be honest, if you were measuring me, you would also probably use centimeters too, even though I'm taller than you. If we were using the measurements that we use in the United States, if you were measuring a person, you would probably use feet. If you were measuring a tree, you would probably use yards. And if you were measuring a distance from place to place, you would probably use miles. Okay, now, here is the most important thing about doing this. When you're trying to convert measurement, you're going to look in the blue box and you're going to write the information from the blue box down. Okay. So here I have the problem. 2 meters equals question mark centimeters. This is in the blue box. 1 meters equals 100 centimeters. 2 meters equals 2 times 100. So the answer is 200 centimeters. 2 meters equals 200 centimeters. So the information in the blue box is going to help you. Zoom out a little bit here. I'm zoomed in close. The information that's in the blue box is going to help you, and you're going to always write it down when you're solving the problem. Here's another problem. A half a meter equals how many centimeters? So I look in the blue box and it tells me that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So now I can compare it and I can say, well, half a meter is going to be 1/2 times 100, which is 50. So a half a meter is 50 centimeters. All right, so we're going to do problems 1 and 2, and we're going to use the blue box to write down the information. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 says 7/8 of a meter equals question mark centimeters. So I need to find out meter and centimeters. So I'm going to look in here in my blue box. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So I'm going to write that. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, well, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. 7/8 of a meter equals green box times so this equals 7/8 times 100 centimeters. And when we go ahead and do that, we end up with 7/8 times 100 is the same thing as 7/8 times 100 over 1. And that's the same thing as 700 divided by 8. And that's the same thing as this. 8 won't go into 7. Then we look at the tens place. 8 will go into 70. Let's see. 8 times 9 is 72, right? So 8 times 8 is 64. So that gets closest without going over. And then we're going to go ahead and subtract. And I get remainder 60. 8 will go into 60. 8 times 7. And 8 times 7 is 56. And so we get 87 and 4/8. And that's the same as 87 and a half. All right. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 says 55 meters equals question mark centimeters. So again, I'm just going to look in the blue box. The blue box is going to tell me 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So that means that I'm going to take 55 meters and I'm going to multiply 55 times 100 centimeters. And that means I'm going to get 5,500 centimeters. Okay. So we're always going back to we always want to list the conversion in the blue box, always. Okay, now we're going to look at converting kilometers to meters. Okay, so remember kilometers are a lot bigger. So 3 kilometers equals how many meters? So I know that 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So 3 kilometers is like 3 times 1,000, and that equals 3,000. How about if I have 1/5 of a kilometer? Well, I know that 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So I'm going to take 1/5 times 1,000, and that's going to give me 1,000 over 5. And when I divide, I'm going to get 200 meters. Okay. All right, so we have a couple more problems that we're going to do. Let's do number 3 right over here. I know I'm taking up kind of a lot of room. It's okay. So let's look at number 3. We have 8 kilometers equals question mark meters. So I'm going over here back over to my blue chart, and my blue chart tells me 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So I'm going to say 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So this is going to be the same as 8 kilometers. That equals 8 times 100. And that's going to equal 800 meters. So 8 kilometers equals 800 meters. So we always want to list the conversion rate underneath, and that helps us show us how to solve the problem. Let's do number 4. Number 4 says 3/4 of a kilometer equals how many meters? So I know that 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters because that's what it says in the blue box, right? Now, I'm going to say, well, that's the same as 1 kilometer. Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. I want to say 3/4 a kilometer equals 3/4 times 1,000, right? That's going to be what goes in the other green box. And then that's going to give me 3,000 over 4, right? Because it looks like this, 3 times 1,000 over 4. And that's the same as 3,000 over 4. So I'm going to go ahead and divide that. I'm going to do it over here. So I just set my division problem up like that. 4 will not go into 3, so we end up with the same. And then we're going to look at hundreds. So we're going to look at 30. 4 will definitely go into 30. There we go. Okay. 4 will definitely go into 30. And let's see, 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm going to put my 7 there. And I'm going to get 2,800, right? When I subtract, I get 200. Now I'm looking in the tens place, right? So I'm going to be looking at 20 because I'm in tens territory. So 4 will go into 25 times. And I end up with 750 as my answer. Remember, if you aren't sure about dividing, you can always multiply 750 times 4, and that should tell you 3,000. So I'm going to try that. And I got 3,000. So I know I did it correctly. So I know that 3/4 of a kilometer equals 750 meters. Okay. All right. We're going to do a few more together. And we're going to do We're gonna do, I think we'll go to 162, okay? All right, so let's take a peek at, now we have, the metric system is pretty easy and straightforward. This is the nightmare because we don't use the metric system. We use this crazy system that only the United States uses. So we know that here's the blue box. This is telling me all of my measurement equivalents. 1 foot equals 12 inches. 1 yard equals 3 feet. 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. Okay? So, just like with the metric system, miles is distances between places with a city, cities or places with a city. Yards would measure like a football field or a track meet. Feet would measure a room or a person's height. Inches would measure something small like a book or a dinner plate. Okay? So, we're going to look at how to convert these measurements. So let's say that I want to convert 12 feet. So if we look here in the book, it says 12 feet equals question mark inches. So in my blue box, it says 1 foot equals 12 inches. So I know if I have 12 feet, that's 12 times 12. That's 144 inches. So 12 feet equals 144 inches. Now, if I have a half a yard, 1 yard equals 3 feet. So a half a yard equals 1/2 times 3, which is 1.5 feet. So a half a yard equals 1.5 feet. All right, let's look at this last one. Converting miles to feet. If I have 2 miles, how many feet do I have? 1 mile is 5,280 feet. 2 miles is 2 times that number, which is going to be 10,560 feet. All right, so we're going to do number 5. We have number 5 right here. We're going to go miles to feet. So we're going to look in our, little blue box. It says 3/4 of a mile equals question mark feet. So I know that if I have, I'm looking on my little chart, and it says that if I have 1 mile, that equals 5,280 feet. So now what I'm going to do, if I want to have 3/4 of a mile, that means I'm going to take 3/4, right? When you see the green box and it's vertical, you know that it's going to have a fraction in it, and we're going to multiply it by 5,280 feet. So when I do that, I get 3/4 times 5,280 over 1. And that's the same thing as, let's multiply 5,280 times 3. That's going to be 0, 24, 6, 7, 8, 15. So I get 15,840 over 4. Right? Because I'm multiplying 3 times that number. There it is right there. 4 times this number. There it is right there. Now I'm going to do a division problem. This is going to be a little bit of a hairy division problem because it's a big number. That's okay. We got this. So we're going to write it right here. And we're going to have a lot of spaces, right? This is going to be the 10,000s. This is going to be the thousands. Then we're going to do hundreds, tens, ones. It's Crazy, crazy town. It's not really that bad. So if I'm looking at 1, I know 4 will not go into 1. So it's 0. And I get the same number when I subtract. Now I'm looking at my thousands place. 4 will go into 15. It goes 3 times. And that is 12,000, right? Because we're in the thousands place. So now when I subtract, I have 3,840, but I'm in the hundreds place. So I'm going to look here at my hundreds, which is 38. And 4 will go into 38. Let's see. 4 times 9, right, is 36. And now I have 24, but I'm in the tens place. So I have 240, but I'm in the tens place. So I look at 24, right? Because the 4 is in the tens place. And that will go 6 times. And that's 240. And then I get 0, and 0 is 0. Okay, so my answer is that 3/4 of a mile is equivalent to 3,960 feet. Okay. So we're setting it up like an equation, right? Now, let's say that we're doing this problem. Let's say that we're converting smaller units to larger units. So let's say I have 79 inches and I'm trying to figure out how many feet. Well, right here on our little chart, it says 12 inches equals 1 feet. So I'm going to take 79 divided by 12, and that equals 6 remainder 7, or 6 7/12, right? So if it's remainder 7, you could say 6 feet 7 inches, right? If I'm going to go 35 feet into yards, then 3 feet equals 1 yard. Then I have to do 35 divided by 3, and that equals 11 remainder 2. So it's 11 yards and 2 feet. Okay, let's look at the last one and then we'll try one together. So this says 9,245 feet equals how many miles? Again, we're going from smaller to larger. Here's what it says on our chart. This is how many feet equal 1 mile. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to subtract, and that gives us 3,965. So 9,245 feet equals 1 mile, and 3,965 feet. Okay. And I think we're going to stop on that one. Let's do number 1. Let's do number 1 on Let's Practice. Okay. We'll just do that last one right here on the bottom. So I'm going to make a chart here at the bottom of my paper. And I'm going to leave enough room to actually do some work. I think my pen might be dying. I can feel it having its last gasp. Might have to use my black pen. I'll switch. So we're going to have, this says meters and centimeters. Uh-oh. And my black pen doesn't want to work. There we go. So this says meters and centimeters, and then we need 7 boxes. So this is going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could even do 1 extra. Okay. So if this says meters and this says centimeters, so we're going to look in our blue box and see what the conversion is. So I'm going all the way back to the first page where it says 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, right? So that's what we need to remember. And this one's pretty easy. If I have 1 meter, I have 100 centimeters. If I want to find out this one, I'm going to write 2 meters equals 2 times 100, which is 200. If I have 3 meters equals 3 times 100, right? 300. 4 meters is 4 times 100. 5 meters is 5 times 100. 6 meters is 6 times 100. 7 meters is 7 times 100. And we even gave ourselves an extra one, 800. So that one was pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Let's do another one. Let's do number 2. Sorry, I'm excited because I like doing these. All right, so we're going to do another one. We'll just do it down here, down below. We'll do number 2. And number 2, we also need 7 boxes. Okay, and this time it also says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this time it says kilometers and meters. So let's write down what our conversion is. I'm flipping back to my blue box at the beginning and it says 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. Okay, so again, this one's a pretty easy one. So if I have 1 kilometer, that means I have 1,000 meters. If I have 2 kilometers, that means, and I can write this, I can write it over here. I can say 1 kilometer equals 1,000. 2 kilometers equals 2 times 1,000. 3 kilometers equals 3 times 1,000. 4 kilometers equals 4 times 1,000. You guys see the pattern? So this is going to be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. What do you predict that 5 times 1,000 will be? 5,000, 6,000, oops, 6,000, 7,000. I got excited about going to 7,000 and put a 7 there. All right. So I don't want you to be afraid of these little conversion charts. I think that sometimes it makes you a little bit nervous. It's like solving a puzzle, but you always have the key to unlock the puzzle. And the key is the conversion rate, right? The key is the conversion rate. And that's always in the blue square in your textbook. All right. So hopefully this helped you to learn how to do conversions. And I appreciate you joining me. Thanks for joining me. And I will talk to you later.